Hello and welcome to the Coaching Crowd podcast with me, Jo Wheatley, and my friend and co-host Zoe Hawkins.
Hi, everybody. Today we're talking about building resilience as a coach. And there's a number of reasons we're bringing this topic to you, both as a coaching business owner, where resilience is really important, but also as a coach when you're in a supporting role and helping a number of people with their different goals and challenges and aspirations. Having your own resilience to be able to bounce back from challenges and manage your energy is a really important part of coaching. So that's what we're bringing to you today.
Yeah, resilience is something we all need to have, and certainly is something that we've needed to notice, engage with, and respond to, and also nurture during the course of our coaching business and also the course of our lives.
Absolutely. I think if I reflect back over my coaching career so far, there was a period of time where I was doing a lot of coaching as an associate coach. And I can remember there was one particular day when I'd been coaching. I think I had 4 clients on that day. And I remember finishing the day and feeling absolutely drained and just thinking about the following week where I had some further clients booked in, just thinking, oh gosh, I do not have the energy for this. I cannot listen to another person, sharing their beliefs about not being good enough. And I caught myself in that moment and I was like, what is going on? Like, that's not me. That's not how I approach client work. And I think in that moment, I realized that I needed to take care of myself and my resilience at that point in time. And I didn't need to take a break. It was enough to notice it and take that to supervision and explore what I needed to do with that. But I think it's that piece around being able to take a helicopter view of like, how am I? Because when you spend so much time in service of others, taking a litmus test of actually, how am I today? How am I showing up in my work and what do I need? And then having the resilience to be able to make changes, adapt, make bold decisions and courageous decisions sometime. And after a while, what happened with that particular coaching is I stepped back from that. And that for me was a really courageous decision at the time because it was a big part of my income, but it was no longer serving me in the way that I needed it to serve me. So I chose to step back from that, forego that income, and that gave me space to do other things.
I think resilience can sometimes be around delayed gratification. So I'm thinking about like often what happens as coaches are kind of newly starting out in business, and obviously we've been there too. And you have chemistry when you get your chemistry conversations. Well, in fact, before that, when you're wanting clients and they're not there, they don't know that you exist, they don't know how you might be able to help them, etc., etc. So you've got that period where you've got these goals, you've got all the excitement, the love of what you're doing, but maybe the reality of it just feels a little bit harsh, a little bit rough. And I'm sure that people have lots of thoughts going through their mind. Have I done the right thing? Can I do this? Is this the right thing for me to do? And then you get to the stage where you're having chemistry conversations and you're so happy, excited, relieved, nervous. You've got loads and loads of emotions going around it. You may even feel desperate, at some point when you engage in those conversations. And then if the client comes back and says, or doesn't, the client doesn't even contact you afterwards. So in the call, they were like, yeah, this sounds really good. Yeah. And they're really keen. And you think, they want it. This is great. I think I can really support this client. And then, we hear people in supervision sometimes saying they ghosted me. The client ghosted me. And there's a point there where, you may go down an avenue of, oh, I can't do this. I'm doing this wrong. What did I do wrong? That's sort of catastrophizing. And really, resilience, that delayed gratification is maybe they weren't the right client. Maybe there is learning there for you around how you almost enable potential clients to filter themselves out before they get to the point of using your time. Because that's the other thing, when you're in the chemistry conversations, you can't be doing other things to help develop your business and your visibility and so on. So, what do you do? What's your mindset? How do you prepare yourself for those early stages where you may not, or even let's go as far as to say you're likely to not get immediate results? But what you can do is spend that time putting the foundations in place. And part of that in terms of the step before is making sure that if you can, that you have got that financial stability, that buffer, that platform to give yourself space and time, because as we know, life is rarely straightforwards.
Mm. There's so much in what you've said there. And I think one of the things that stood out to me is the piece you were saying around being ghosted by clients. And I don't think that's just a independent solo coach problem. You know, I think that is something that internal coaches face as well, like people who have trained to be a coach or trained in coaching skills, and they want to go back and they want to take it to their teams and they want to take it into the organization. And even then, they're offering coaching for free, right? So they're like, wow, this is amazing. It changed my life. I'm offering this for free, and nobody wants it. And that in itself can be like, what have I done wrong? You know, oh gosh, I'm just not good at that. They know that I'm just a beginner and they don't want to coach with me. And I think the essence of what we're saying is being a coach and being a successful coach. And I use that term lightly because success is how you choose to define it. But it's half a mindset game and it's half the sort of sales marketing strategy game. And you need to have both in equal measure, because if you fall down the trap of, you know, when you're faced with challenges, it can ignite those gremlins that have been there, you know, that I'm not good enough, the imposter feelings, the this is too hard, I'm not capable enough, or any of the mindset gremlins that come up when you're in a place where something is new, something is different, perhaps it's challenging, perhaps you have some emotions attached to it. It's going to be a time where your mindset, the gremlins are going to come out and they're going to be waking up and challenging you. And so I think to be able to have a check on, as I said before, like, how am I? Like, how is my mindset? Is my mindset in the position that it needs to be in to give myself the best possible chances of success? So you need that. And then you also need the piece around, okay, so what am I going to do with this? How am I going to structure my business or my internal coaching offer so that people can really understand the value that it brings and how I am here to help them with that?
I think for me, it's around control. So if I'm in a situation where I feel, I'm being rocked or life feels like it's being rocked, then I think breathing is key. Like I sort of will sense that my breathing is subtly or slightly different. And I often will go quite quiet and I'll just need some time on my own. And I could be like picking things up around the house and I'm like, I need processing time. So if I'm having that sort of a reaction, and I think where I go to is I get to a place of like, I'm going to have to take action. Like if I'm feeling something strongly, and so I'm trying to work out, right, what am I in control of here? What's the experience I want to be having? And what can I do to take me one step closer to that? And, as I said earlier, that may not always be an obvious, may not always feel like a step forward. Sometimes it might feel like a step to the side, but that might be the thing that is needed in order to ultimately help you to get where you want to get to. And let's think about clients. Like clients come to coaching conversations, and they might say, I'm just really struggling at the moment. Like I usually bounce back, but I don't feel like I can bounce back in the way that I want to. But also I've got to, because, there's some time imperative around it. So let's talk a little bit about when clients come to coaching sessions and the topic may not explicitly be resilience, but resilience is there as part of what the client is looking to grow or develop.
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is like, what does the client want to have instead? So they're obviously having this experience where, as you described it there, there's an element of the energy just isn't present to be able to bounce back. So what do they want to have instead? And what does that look like and feel like? And, what needs to shift and change, both internally in terms of the mindset and externally in terms of perhaps situation and decisions that need to be made. And then looking at, so what's in the way of being able to get there? And it might be that that's emotions work. And obviously we've talked about emotions coaching practitioner before, but what is it in terms of some of the emotions perhaps that they're experiencing now that are interrupting the experience of being able to get to what they have? So I would sort of spend some time exploring that. And I think there's also a piece of, are there is this, and are there themes and patterns that have led to this particular incident? So is this an isolated situation where they're feeling depleted, or is this the last in a series of sort of events where the client is struggling to bounce back from? Because I think that helps to enable the client to make any connections, because there can be a lot of guilt and shame around not having resilience to be able to bounce back. And sometimes a client will look at a single event and be overwhelmed with the shoulds of like, I should be able to handle this better. I should be able to deal with it, whilst ignoring that there may be a lot of unprocessed situations, events, emotions that have come before this. And I think when the client can see the whole picture and they can relieve the guilt and shame, that can free up a little bit more energy to be like, right, I understand myself now. I understand where I'm at and why I'm coming to this.
Yeah, I mean, beliefs are a key part of this, aren't they? So, if you've got somebody as well that believes, they have an identity, so beliefs about themselves, which is, I'm strong, I am resilient, I can deal with anything life throws at me. And it's all they've ever identified themselves as. And then actually they reach a point in life where they they don't feel that way anymore, and that feels really unfamiliar. It feels unsafe for them, and I think safety is a big part of resilience. I think when people feel the need to, they're searching for this ability to bounce back, to move forwards, it's often coming from a place where I want to feel safe. I want to feel, and I want to feel something familiar, and it feels like everything's changing. It's almost as if the pavement is cracking up in front of them and all around them, and they don't know where to go. But also sometimes clients, I think, may be being rushed by other people to, bounce back, move on, just carry on. And actually the client might be saying, I just need to sit with how I'm feeling right now. They may not feel that they need to rush away, on to feeling resilient. And, if we come back to the other core pillars around coaching, so values, what is the client's values? So I think, what are the situations that prompt somebody to feel off balance, if you like? And I think that's usually when one of their, most significant values has not been honored in an experience that they're having. And I think sometimes it's the confusion that can feel worse than anything else. It's like, I just don't feel like me. I don't feel like, I feel disconnected, or I feel whatever it is that they're feeling. So helping the client to kind of reconnect, if you like, with the things that are important to them, understand the reason that they aren't feeling as they normally do, and then help them to be at choice with what do they want to do about that can be enough, to be able to help them to re-engage with their other strengths and qualities that can support them to, with the intention that they have.
And of course, these are all things that you can apply to yourself as a coach. So sometimes it helps to engage with how would I support a client to build resilience, and to then be able to take a moment to be able to apply that to yourself. I think one of the things that I reflect on, when I think about resilience as a coach and, partly as a business owner, is that piece around deciding, because I remember a point in our business where we decided we were going to make it work. Like we gave up the backup plan, which was like the going back into corporate. If it doesn't work out, we can always go and get another job. Like that was a story I think we told ourselves for a number of years. And I remember when we were like, there is no backup plan. Like this is the plan, and we are aligning our energy 100% behind this, and we are deciding to make this work. And it was a gear change. And I think there's something around when you're building resilience as a coach, like what's your gear change? Like what's the energy that you need to step into to be able to ride some of those waves? Because there are always going to be ups and downs, particularly if it's new to you, you're building skills, you're learning different ways of being. What's the gear that's going to help you to flip into it? And it might be about patience. It might be like, I'm giving myself the grace and patience and permission for this to take time. It might be about, right, I am going out to my network and I am going full speed, connecting with everybody I know and telling them all about my new business. And I'm, that's how I'm going to spend my time and energy. So there is a gear, I think, that you can get into that can also support with resilience. And I think that in some way is about belief. It's like, what are you believing here? Believing to back yourself? Are you believing that you can be successful? Are you believing that this is what you are meant to be? 100%, there's no backup plan. And it may take time to fully align to those beliefs, but that might help you to flip into to a resilience that can help you find that other gear.
I think it's interesting as well because I'm just reflecting on like the balance of our conversation so far today has been around almost like the negative stuff. You need resilience for that. But actually, I was just reflecting on how our business, we're fortunate that our business is growing and has been growing, and that requires resilience. So,
Yeah.
other people look at us and think, wow, we get a lot of feedback. Wow, how have you done it? It's so exciting to see, what you've been doing with the business. And it is, and it brings new challenges with it. And you don't really control the pace at which your business grows. And, that pulls on different parts of you. And, you're not always prepared for those things. And that resilience can be um I think maybe just when let's say a business is growing quicker than you're growing, or it's demanding skills from you that you're like, oh, I haven't even got there yet, but I need to have these skills. And all of those things. So I think it's important to recognize that clients too, you may have clients that have just got promoted, they've got the very thing that they've been working towards, and they are simultaneously joyful and proud and also thinking, oh my goodness, like I've now got to dig deep again, for this new phase and all of the new things that people are wanting and needing from me. And I didn't, so it's thinking as well about transitions. So clients come to coaching, I think, often for support around transitions. Either they're just before what they know is probably going to be a transition, maybe they're in it, or maybe, that they're sort of the other side of it. But, we're always somewhere, I guess, in transition if we think about it more existentially. And so, in that phase of transition where we are growing, we are being stretched, a degree of resilience is almost always required. And we haven't even touched upon all of the things, the external things, that impact the way that people think and feel, and the resilience that's required to keep going generally.
Mm.
When things feel difficult. And we, in the UK, we've got an election, or by the time this goes out, we'll have had an election, and people will have different reactions to whatever the result of that is. And that will create an emotional kind of wave and will require resilience from a lot of people.
That's such a good point about the positive side of things. I think it's very easy sometimes when you're supporting clients who are bringing the challenges with resilience to remember actually that the reframe around, when you're a coach and you're working with passion, keeping in that gear can be, and there can be a need for resilience. And the resilience by definition is about the ability to bounce back. But sometimes I think it's also about to keep bouncing. So as you're talking about there, when you're working with passion and you're striving to make a difference in the world, and, you believe in sort of shining your light through coaching, when there is so much darkness, it can feel like, gosh, am I really making a difference? Like, can I really maintain this level of passion when you feel like perhaps you're in it alone and you're the only one who's trying to, work with heart and strive to make the world a better place, which I think is really at the core of many people, whether you're just gaining coaching skills to help your team be better, or you're training to be a coach because you want to help people change their lives, whatever it comes from. I think we talk about how often at the center of coaching is love, and that desire to have a positive impact through love for, be it the planet or humanity or whatever. There is a connection around higher purpose. And if you feel like you're the only person doing that, whilst it's coming from a really positive place, that in itself needs resilience to keep bouncing, to keep shining your light, to keep moving forward. So yeah, I think that that offer you bought there, Joe, of like, think about it from the positive perspective is important.
It's taking that time, understanding what are the different things you have in your toolkit that you can go to when you need that bit of space, when you recognize, your battery's getting a bit low, or think, because things maybe feel a bit challenging, and it may, that feeling may not be because of one particular thing. It may be a number of little things that actually have that cumulative effect. So, even when things are going really well, sometimes that's the time when you forget to look after yourself as well. I would say look after yourself. It may just be little things like taking that walk, taking that break when you need to. Maybe it's about connecting in with appreciating and what you've achieved, or gratitude for where you are and what you're getting to experience. Um, but as we've talked about many times, like, resilience is to do with mental health, and mental health is something that we all have and that we all need to give attention to on a regular basis. So not just for ourselves, but also with each other. And as you were saying, thinking about who's in your network, who are the people that you go to, what are the relationships that resource you, that support you, that lift you up, that you can celebrate with, that you can cry with, that you can experience all of the emotions with. And it's part of the reason that we created our business lounge, is when people start out in business or with a coaching business, and often from a passion perspective, what they miss is being part of a team. And whilst the coaching crowd isn't a team as such, it kind of is a team. So there are people there are experiences that you can draw on. There are people that will hold space for you. There are people that will have had similar experiences. And there will be people cheering you on. So if you feel like that is something that you need or want to support you in your resilience, then we have opened up the business lounge for a very short period, because we like to give time for people to come into the business lounge, and also then for the community to settle and be kind of close to supporting each other during that period of time. So if that's something that you want to do, Zoe's going to share the link with you now.
Yeah, I'll share the link. And just before I do, it's a community, I think we've mentioned on other podcasts, that's very supportive, but there's also lots of business trainings in there. There's over 40 trainings in there that will help you to plug that knowledge gap, perhaps around not just getting started, because we've got some seasoned coaches in there as well who are growing and scaling their business. So those coaching trainings will help you to gain the knowledge that you need to know what to do. And sometimes that is a piece of the piece that is missing to be able to propel you forward. So come for the community, come for the education, come for the support as you grow your coaching business. And you can sign up only until Wednesday. So the 31st of July is when we close the doors. It's been open for a couple of weeks, and you can do that at igcompany.co.uk/lounge.